Good day, everybody, and I'd like to say happy anniversary to Global GHK. Thank you so much for spending the last 8 years spreading Dr. Hummer's discovery to help people understand the biological laws of nature. Just a disclaimer, the information given in this presentation is for educational purposes only. Participants shall consult their medical doctors for health reasons before using anything that is disclosed during the course of this presentation. Students shall not use any of the different information given in this presentation while writing their examination. I'm Abela, biohacking pioneer of the Philippines and GHK Philippines founder. My private work is as a trauma therapist, but my passion work is with kids with different abilities. I discovered GHK in 2021, beginning my exploration with Andy, a beloved teacher and faculty member here. Since then, I've created ties with global leaders in GHK and the principals who are continuing to educate vast communities in North America, Europe, Asia, and Australia. My hope is to spread this work in my home country, the Philippines. And as a further disclaimer for myself, if you are experiencing a severe asthma attack, seek medical help immediately. Biohacking has helped me take full control of my biology through brain training and nervous system regulation for 10 years. And thus I was fully equipped, psyche, brain, and organ, to ride the severe storm on my own. I do not recommend that you do what I have done in this case study unless you are fully confident in your capacity to stay calm and resilient in emergency situations. Without further ado, let's get right to it. Life or breath. How GHK saved me from severe asthma. A true GHK asthma success story. Imagine being in a situation where you think your life is at its end. The fear takes over and maybe, just maybe, you find a reason to fight for survival. This happened to me on April 9, 2024, an asthma GHK success story. I woke up on April 9 with asthma, and because my inhale was prolonged, it's a resolved territorial fear on the laryngeal muscles. I needed to be true to the case study and mention that the day before I had a sore throat and I was also coughing a whole lot without any phlegm. However, the sore throat may be a different germ layer than asthma and may belong to a different conflict in simultaneous healing. I was in the beginning stages of the epic crisis, but little did I know it was building up slowly. The epic crisis phase is sometimes referred to as the height of healing. The biological conflict is a territorial fear for a hormonally male left-handed female, and the DHS is something I heard that caused fear around my business. Asthma is a constellation, or two active conflicts on the two brain hemispheres. The left hemisphere, mapped to the laryngeal muscles, goes into resolution. I didn't know I had another active one in the right hemisphere until I got asthma that day. Conflicts often happen beneath our awareness. What made this case complex was I experienced healing symptoms in all germ layers. I'll be honest, as I wasn't sure what the DHS was and the conflict content, so I am unsure which of the endodermal organs went into healing. One guess might be about 10 days before I swallowed an impossibly large magnesium pill that got stuck in my esophagus and it felt like forever. It was so jarring because I could feel tension in my jaw and my chest muscles as I was going through it. There might have been a nanosecond thought that I might die from choking and no one can help me. Two possibilities then. The esophagus, the conflict content, is not able to or not allowed to swallow a morsel, the big magnesium pill, or the death fright conflict from the fear of choking on the magnesium pill. Because of the bloody sputum, it might just be death fright. Then we also have responses from the two control centers of the laryngeal muscles, cerebral medulla and the motor cortex, to which the laryngeal muscles are mapped, and is the focus of our discussion today. 1 p.m. was the start of my grueling journey. I tried to take a nap because I was so tired from asthma, and when I woke up, the epic crisis wasn't over. I did take Ventolin inhaler because it can be life-saving, but it only arrests the symptoms by paralyzing the muscles, and then the effect doesn't last. The mother lode was just beginning to peer its ugly head. As the deeper evening hours set in, my asthma was building up with some severity. I wasn't surprised though, because in GHK we know it's vagatonia time, so pretty much I was ready to face the symptoms. This can be explained by the second biological law of nature, or the biphasic system of senseful biological special programs, formerly known as disease. During the day when we have to work or are taking care of kids, we don't feel any symptoms because we need life to move forward. This is called sympathicotonic, or our daytime nervous system, and usually when we experience conflicts is in the hours when we are awake. The second phase, or vagatonic nervous system, usually starts when the sun sets and when the body starts to restore, repair, and reset. This is where you experience healing symptoms such as bleeding, night sweats, pain, coughing, DOMS, fever, swelling, headache, mucus, dizziness, coughed blood, blood in stool, and blood in urine, and frequent urination. I was becoming increasingly concerned as the asthma was really hitting hard. My O2 saturation was consistently at 97 in spite of my breathlessness. At this point, I'm using the inhaler often just to give me a welcome 1 second sense of relief, even if I knew it would prolong my healing phase. At that point, I would have done anything just to feel some comfort. I tried to eat, but I wasn't hungry even if my stomach was grumbling, a true sign I was in vagatonia and an epicrisis. Knowing GHK's biphasic system is really keeping me hopeful and unafraid. I knew there was a chance it could get worse, and I prepared my mind and body to find resilience. I've been biohacking for almost 10 years, and resilience is the name of the game. I've been training my brain and body to find radical balance when needed, but this night might be the ultimate test to see how resilient I can be in a life or death situation. I wasn't feeling any better when it came time to sleep. I felt a bit better during pericardium time when the parasympathetic nervous system resets, and triple warmer time when the sympathetic nervous system resets, so I really wasn't freaking out yet. Well, they were both resetting for all hell breaking loose because this night there was a storm to survive. This whole time I kept my calm. I remember I was still able to text friends, and I could still walk short distances without feeling like keeling over. I started to feel the brunt of it during gallbladder time. My inhale was prolonged, so I knew it was definitely laryngeal asthma. My breathing rate seemed like 60 respirations a minute, and it's a type where I wouldn't be able to walk, nor talk, nor text. I was pinned to the bed to rest it out, but I knew it was time to sleep, and sleep wasn't even coming. My breathlessness felt like drowning without the energy to surface. Weak and aching, I shifted positions all night with no relief. Sitting upright over pillows or the low crawl pose brought fleeting comfort, but left me aching and breathless. Night sweats drenched my hair, neck, and back. A true vagatonic symptom. Bacteria are healing. Many surgeons were at work. I celebrated this sign of repair, embracing the critical role of bacteria in healing. To avoid confusion, these are healing symptoms of a separate conflict on the endoderm layer that may or may not have been triggered by the same event involving these organs, where bacteria is active during the healing phase. Earlier I mentioned two possibilities for endoderm: the esophagus can't swallow, or lung alveoli, death-right conflict from a choking death by swallowing the magnesium pill. I am focusing this case study just on asthma this time, and not other conflicts, though it is useful to mention it here. One can never really know what the psyche is thinking, and multiple germ layers can be involved. Laryngeal asthma is in two different germ layers, two control centers in the brain, the cerebral medulla, responsible for nutrition of tissue, and the motor cortex on the cerebral cortex, responsible for contraction of the muscle. The epicrisis of the smooth laryngeal muscles presents as a spasm, which we call asthma, similar to hyperperistalsis during an intestinal colic. The endoderm healing using bacteria was a wonderful sign for me and something to be celebrated and not feared, as supported by the fourth biological law of nature, in which we know that microbes are symbiotics. Violent coughing brought up bloody mucus, a healing sign in the endoderm layer. Reaching for the spit cup felt like a chore. Urgent bathroom trips every hour, including urination and defecation, drained me further, but I knew it was my body in the healing phase. The severity of my symptoms sparked a fleeting thought. Am I going to die today? ER scenarios filled my mind with tests, diagnosis, possible fear-mongering. As rapid, shallow breathing consumed me, I questioned if I'd ever breathe easily again, and the thought of never dancing exercises, I'll never be normal again. Whenever someone goes through such severe symptoms, it can affect you mentally, physically, and emotionally if you let it. In moments of despair, it's easy to believe that things will never change, but understanding GHK reframed my struggle. Whenever there is a conflict shock, and for me it was a territorial fear over losing my business, the SBS starts with a conflict active phase where you don't feel any symptoms. The conflict load can be determined by how long you were conflict active or how deeply you experienced the conflict shock. For me, I was conflict active for several months, and combined with the syndrome, it meant a more intense healing phase. When you resolve the conflict, you enter the second phase or healing phase. The first part is PCLA. Then about 2 to 3 weeks later, the height of healing, the stormy epicrisis comes through, and the peak of the epicrisis happens between 3 and 4 a.m. I knew the body didn't want me to die. I felt so drained and exhausted from trying to breathe and aching all over my body that expiring might be my only opportunity to rest. I remembered the fifth biological law. The storm is there for a biological reason. And yes, storms get tired too. At 5 a.m. on April 10, the first light of day brought hope. I felt weak, but knew that the worst was over. My breathlessness remained, but I had the strength to text a friend. My SpO2 went up to 98%, and I was really overjoyed as I knew I was finally entering into the second part, or PCLB. Indeed, a reason to celebrate. The storm has passed. By 7 a.m., with sunlight filling the room, I was going into sympathicotonic, the daytime nervous system, and it was a blessing to let daylight signal the exit from vagotonia. By 9 a.m., I started to get sleepy, and I took a nap for a full 7 hours to recover, restore, repair, and rebalance. For that death-defying event, I'm so grateful for the 5 biological laws of nature. Dr. Hammer's discovery really kept me alive. It took away the fear of death and disease, which is the key to survival. The first biological law of nature helped me understand the second conflict of the Asthma Constellation, landing on the laryngeal muscles on the left hemisphere. It was in the height of healing, or the epicrisis, and the biological conflict is a territorial fear for a left-handed menopausal female and conflict active for several months. The second biological law, the law of 2 phases, helped me expect to ride the biggest waves during the stormy epicrisis, and when the storm tires, to then expect calmness during the last part, or PCLB. The third biological law of nature helped me understand the different evolutionary survival responses of each germ layer to a possible single event, triggering healing phases characteristic to the endoderm, like night sweats, fever, and bloody sputum. Then we also have responses from the two control centers of the laryngeal muscles, the cerebral medulla and the motor cortex of the cerebral cortex. The fourth biological law of nature helped me celebrate the bloody sputum, night sweats, and fever as wonderful signs of healing, thanks to our symbiotic bacteria who are the microsurgeons doing their healing magic. What saved me the most was the fifth biological law, the quintessence. Everything is for the purpose of survival. The biology always goes back to homeostatic balance, and it's nature's way of making us stronger, better, and more resilient. And we need to be nature's patients. This experience made me stronger, not just in mind, body, and spirit, but in psyche, brain, organ to align with nature's laws. And this is our strength and the path to our next level evolution. Whenever I think of nature's wonderful pathways of evolution, we know that nature loves life. And on this anniversary celebration honoring Dr. Hummer, I celebrate his discovery because it emphasizes humanity's destiny to live not just a long life, but a vital life in psyche, brain, and organ, enhancing our relationships and communication through biological living, allowing humans to coexist in a world where we control our own biology because we understand the laws of nature. And that thought never ceases to take my breath away. Thank you so much for listening, and again, happy anniversary to Global GHK. Thank you so much for upholding Dr. Hummer's legacy.